Hey guys, it's Joey, and I wanted to make this video before I go ahead and make any others. It's quite a serious video, and it's something that's been on my mind a little bit recently, and something else came up today, and I really felt the need to talk about it. And it's sort of the flip side of the forgiveness video, and I think I need to go into depth with it, and so I will. And I'm going to talk about poisonous negativity, and this in relation to the concept of forgiveness, and when the concept of forgiveness isn't appropriate, and when it's actually doing us more harm than good. I think the concept of forgiveness is often thrown around, bandied around, as if we don't instantly forgive, or we cannot find it within ourselves to forgive, we're somehow considered or told that this is makes us less of a person. And this tactic is actually used by people to manipulate others, to make people feel guilty for not forgiving them. And there's a lot of this going on, and I just feel the need to talk about it because it is a dangerous thing, actually. It sort of muddies the water, it makes the concept of forgiveness less poignant, less important. It sort of cheapens it. And so I wanted to talk about when forgiveness is merited versus when it is just poisoning you through this concept, which is people basically using the notion of forgiveness to get what they want. It's relevant in abusive situations when there's an abuser and abused, and it's relevant in less dire situations than that. There's another video that Raven Nightsong did, and I want people to go watch her video, and I've forgotten what it's called. It might be, I'm not sure if it was the forgiveness one or the difficult choices or being real, but she talked about when distancing yourself from certain people might be the right choice because they are deeply involved with someone who is hurting you and the problems that entails. And if you haven't seen her video, go watch that. And then I'm going to talk a little bit more about this thing that's been bothering me. So I did a video about forgiveness because I had forgiven my long-term best friend, call her Arwin for the YouTube thing because that's easier. And obviously the falling out that me and my friend had hurt me very deeply. And I understand that, you know, if some people might be watching my video and thinking, well, if she can forgive that person, then maybe I should forgive this person, when maybe that's not the message and not the choice that you should be making, possibly. And I'm going to discuss this a little bit more at length. I'm not going to go into the words exactly that she sent me because that's between her and me, but I'm going to say that first and foremost, we had been friends an awfully long time, and still are friends. We're building our relationship again, and that's something I'm going to discuss in a second. We'd been friends in life, real life, and have communications over the internet when we were at distance has prevented us from being in each other's physical life for 15, if not more years. In all that time, I mean, you know, you have your usual ups and downs that you do with most people, but in all that time we had not had a major falling out until recently, in 15 years. And I said to her, and I don't think she'll mind me saying that had it been anyone else, I might not have been willing to work on it. The things that were said, and bear in mind this is things that are said, not things that have been done. You know, there were no physical acts against me. It was words, which made it less complicated. But it was once that this happened, and we've got a whole history together of supporting each other, of looking after each other in very dire circumstances when we've been through some really, really hard stuff. I mean, you know, abusive stuff and deaths and really difficult situations. She saved me from homelessness, and it was on that foundation that I was like, I don't want us to completely lose our friendship, and I believe that we can work together to move forward. She's my soul sister, if not my blood sister. You know, she's been in my life 15 years, and it was on that basis that we are moving forward. And the process of forgiveness is a process which people seem to be forgetting. You know, it's difficult. It takes time and a lot of effort on both sides to build it up. And it takes the initial acknowledgement of wrongdoing, and people seem to think that people going, yeah, I was wrong, is the same thing as acknowledging the wrongdoing, and it's not. My friend sent me a letter expressing herself and some pages from a book expressing herself in ways that she felt that she couldn't fully express herself. You know, it was heart-wrenching, and she'd soul-searched to get to that point, the words that she needed to tell me. But when people are just like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, let's just get over it, that's not the same thing. And people are mistaking, like people saying and using the idea of forgiveness to just fall into old traps. And this is a huge point right here, is when it's not a one-off, when it is a pattern, and it's not just with you, maybe it's ongoing, there is something else there that should not be forgiven because you're just forgiving and allowing that behavior to continue. I know because I've been through this. I have not forgiven my parents. Now, some people are going to claim this is weakness because I have not reached the point. Neither of them have sincerely asked for forgiveness, and I'm not going to give it. And if someday I am at the point where I can forgive, that's mine, my choice, and it's more to do with me than them. And even if I did forgive them, I would never, ever have either of them in my life ever again. This is my parents, so this is how serious this can be. And I do not forgive them because it is a pattern of abuse with both of them. And they both play the victim. It's not really their fault. I was depressed, I was whatever, I was under stress. And it's, well, plenty of people are under stress and don't beat their children up. Plenty of people drink, and yet this is my mother more than so. And it's just constant, this has been done to me, therefore this is why I react. And it's like, that's not acknowledging your behaviour. This was done to me, therefore I'm treating people badly. Well, it's bull, because like there are plenty of people who have been treated really badly and don't go out and perpetuate that behaviour. There are people who have been bullied and do not become bullies. Like this whole belief, those have become what they hate. And we have to stop the whole idea of that right in its tracks, because if we keep feeding into this poison, that these people keep giving to us, then we become poisoned. That is the road to becoming what you don't like about that person. If you absorb like a sponge rather than reflect like a mirror, then this is going to happen. You're going to poison yourself. And I like the sponge versus mirror analogy, because you can either absorb everything they're doing, listen to, this is people who are negatively affecting you. You can either listen to everything they're doing and absorb it and get depressed and get upset and get angry and all that negative emotions about it, and you can read what they're going to say to you when they're being nasty to you. You can listen what they're saying and you can let it affect you like that, or you can just be a mirror, reflect it, and just don't allow it to come into your soul. And I don't mean by reflect it, I don't mean escalate it. I don't mean send a load of hate back. I don't mean become them. A mirror isn't, you know, being them. It's just being above that and just allowing their behavior to simply reflect on them and not on you. People who are abusive in whatever circumstance, from the very, very dire to the less, well, it's not less dire, it's just there are, you know, levels of abusiveness, will prey on the idea of forgiveness. Now, this happens in domestic violence relationships where the abuser says to the abused, oh, I never meant to, I'm really, really sorry. They might buy them gifts as an apology. I'll never do it again. I was angry. I was drunk. Excuse, 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 excuse. The apology appears, the forgiveness is obtained, that gives that abuser again power over the victim, and then the cycle continues. It's all about breaking cycles, and forgiveness is not something which should just be given over and over and over again to people who are stuck in these patterns of behavior. You know, if they're bringing chaos into their own lives and chaos into your lives, and it's continuous, why engage with it? Don't engage with it. I really worry about the people that keep engaging with this, because you're only going to hurt yourself. Really, you're going to hurt yourself, and you're giving them power over you. You are giving them your personal power. And when they keep giving and you keep absorbing like that sponge, it is destroying something in you. It destroys your light, it destroys your happiness. And there are people out there who just want to do that to people. You know, they want to bring people down, they want to humiliate people, they want to physically abuse people, they want to, in fact, anything abuse people. They want to do these things. They want to bully, they want to make fun, they want to harm. Whether they say they do or not, and most people will pretend they don't. And I don't understand why people keep trying to make them into something that they're not. They are not at the point where they're sorry. And if at any point they get anywhere near it and you just forgive, then it's probably not going to make them change. I keep saying that the process of change is this deep, meaningful, hard effing work. And I don't think that's getting across enough. Me and my friend are having conversations every single day to pretty much to repair our relationship. And that is needed. It's emotional, it's overwhelming, it's tiring. But it's based on a foundation of love, which is not there in a lot of situations where this forgiveness is being bandied about, traded away, made into less than it is. And I'm going to quote Tolkien, because I think this is poignant. How do you go on when in your heart you begin to understand there is no going back? There are some things that time cannot mend, some hurts that go too deep, that have taken hold. And there are plenty of people that beat themselves up for not being able to completely forgive and have that person in their life still. And they feel guilty, like there's something wrong with them. Like, if you can't forgive this person, there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you, okay? If you can forgive a person at a certain point to allow peace into your heart, that's something. If you can't, and you just extend forgiveness, but you haven't gotten over it, and all you still feel is anger and aggression, then that's not healing yourself. If you keep forgiving this person keeps repeating the behavior, and they keep hurting you, that's not forgiveness either. It's a mutual pattern of destruction and pain. And that's being the sponge, that's taking it, that's absorbing all this negativity that person has to give, and you're saying like you deserve it because you keep forgiving them and keep allowing them to indulge in whatever they want to do to you, to your heart, to your head, and to keep going back and listening to these people and allowing these people into your lives is perpetuating this negative cycle. There is plenty of positivity to be found in the world, in people that are worth your time and attention, in real friendships. I'm not at any point in this video saying that there aren't circumstances where you can forgive a person, and I think the key difference really is whether it's a pattern of behavior or it's a mistake. And I have said this, and I will say it again: give people a second chance, but never a third, because anybody can make a mistake. Anybody can make a mistake. That is human nature, and that is fair to be said. But people who keep engaging in these behaviors, who keep hurting people, whether it be you, whether it be a group of people, whether it be a whole different people, it doesn't really matter. If they're engaged with patterns of this behavior, if it keeps happening, or different forms of destruction and chaos keep happening and surround this person and surround anybody who they're involved with, then there's something very wrong there. And to keep forgiving them isn't going to help you, it isn't going to help them, and it's not going to help the people around you, your family, your friends, community. All it's doing is bringing in that negativity. It's bringing in the poison. And I mentioned that you don't want to become the person that they are. You don't want to become a bully after being bullied, because what you are taking from that situation is that you are becoming the very thing that has hurt you the most. And there is this misinformation in society that all bullied people become bullies. There is a misinformation in society that all abuse victims become abusers. Some do, but not everybody does. And I think we need to talk about these sorts of things to prevent it becoming just another cycle of destruction and darkness. We're in a pattern of shift right now, a pattern of truth. And above all else, whether it be true, positive or negative, truth is starting to push through. I honestly believe this. Like, the people who are worth keeping is coming through. The people who are not worth keeping, that is coming through too. Now, I can only draw on my own experiences. So I'm going to talk about being in a relationship and forgiving a person for cheating or whatever, right? So this is just one example. There are many. There are familiar relationships, there are friendships, relationships, there are loving partnerships, not so loving partnerships, there are domestic violence type situations, etc. Domestic violence is a good example of past relationships that I have experienced, okay? The person in charge, the abuser basically, will do anything to control that person. Or, I mean, in a relationship it's usually two people, but they can be trying to control more than two people. extended family, children, even pets, things like this. And they use everything to tie that person into their web of control. And I've been through this, and I've seen it, and they will lie, and they will play up, and they will then try and smooth things over and try and make out they're the victim. They will play on the notion of forgiveness like nobody's business. You're a bad person for not forgiving me. I said I was sorry. What more do I have to do? Well, if anybody at any point rants on that what more should they have to do, you know that they don't truly believe in this forgiveness and process of change, because they are holding it against you. They are using negative emotions to make you feel guilty into forgiving them, which they don't deserve. I realise there is a problem with judging whether or not somebody deserves forgiveness, and the only thing that I can say is you have to use your heart and your head. Because quite frequently, like when we forgive people, it's because our heart is overruling our brains. When I forgave one of my first boyfriends for cheating on me, my friends were all a little bit, you maybe should have not forgiven him straight away, but I was young, okay, I was 13, and he would turn out in the end to be abusive, and my heart at that point overruled my head. I hadn't grown up enough to sort of balance between the two, and still it can be difficult. Your heart can overrule your head. You want to be forgiven. You want that friendship. You want that relationship. You don't feel like you can survive without it. You feel deeply hurt and you want to fix it. You feel guilty. But what was all that doing? It's being the sponge. You're absorbing all that into yourself, and at some point something's going to give, and you're just going to be so full of poison that you're going to be overrun by negative emotion. Sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away from someone. You know, you see all these people who are like, oh, block and delete, and it's fine, it's not just fine, but that is the right idea. It's just oversimplified and made to sound easy when it's not. Sometimes you just have to walk away from people, because you cannot disentangle yourself from certain reactions to them. I have an ex who I have had to completely cut off from my life because he constantly tries to make me feel anything. I don't know what he wants. Game playing, basically. And, you know, look what you lost. And it's like, you left me. Look what you lost. That time. And this person knows how to push my buttons. And it can be very, very difficult. And it's like, even if you're not in love with the person anymore, or even if you don't even like the friend anymore, maybe they just know how to push your buttons. Well, if they know how to push your buttons, then you really need the mirror. Okay? You need to be above their behavior. You need to stop listening, stop communicating, stop having contact with them, and walk the hell away. There is nothing wrong with that. Get on with your life. Focus on something positive. If you're having real issues with this, take time out to do something just for you. For a while, you know, spend time with the people who do love you. Have constant communications with the people who do care about you. Focus on something creative. Get some writing done. Do some reading, music, going out into nature. All the things that make being a witch a good thing. Meditate, listen to the deities. They're not going to allow you to keep these negative cycles going, because they want you to evolve, to grow, to be a better person. If you're sort of holding yourself back from this witchy path of self-discovery by allowing people to tell you you're a bad person for not forgiving me, you should be putting up with X, Y, and Z, you shouldn't. If your heart of hearts knows somewhere deep down that these people are bad, and you keep needing to feed this, and you get so outraged and you need people to know that they are bad people, then your heart of hearts knows you shouldn't be having anything to do with them. You might be having to learn a lesson from that about yourself, but to keep perpetuating their behaviour is to keep absorbing the behaviour, and it's only going to poison yourself. I worry so much that the concept of forgiveness is being used as a tool by those who just want to manipulate and hurt other people. I've seen it in my own life. I've seen my mother do it on... I see it just like that now because my mother has used it over and over and over and over and over again. So but now I just see it and I just automatically, if anyone's doing that, it's like, you have just completely lost all my respect and you don't mean that you really want forgiveness, so bye-bye, you know? That's how I feel about it, and I worry that some people are just vulnerable to these forms of control, and I don't like it, you know. Walk away. Do not absorb all of that. Be stronger than that. Be better than that. For your own sake. For your own sake. Not for anybody else's. That's going to be it for this video. Many blessings.